Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So it's review time for the Yorkville VGM 14 Compact Live Sound Mixer Desk. So it's a 14 channel mixer. Right now it's on loan to me from Long McQuaid because my new to me Soundcraft 22 channel mixer decided to take a conniption fit. So it's in for warranty repair, so while it's out they've loaned me this to keep me up and running. Anyway, I thought since there's no other reviews or even information anywhere on YouTube on this mixer, well, I guess we're going to get it out there now. So what have we got here? A really expensive toy. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a toy, but it is quite expensive. It's over $600 Canadian. Now you can buy these new, used, you know, that sort of thing, right? All different prices. Depending on where you shop, depends on how much you pay on the retail side. So I'm really not going to get into specifics on price as far as exact dollars here. Now, on the back panel, we have a phantom power switch plus the main power switch. We have 4 speaker out jacks, 2 of which are XLR, 2 are TRS. I'm using the TRS speaker outs to go to my in-ear monitors, and I'm using the other 2 to go to my USB box. Now, because I don't need access to auxiliary monitors in my studio in here, I do everything through in-ears, and my entire mix gets set through here, because that's where your mix goes through, is your faders. Okay, it doesn't go through your auxes, but your faders will influence your aux channels regardless. So if you are using auxes, you know, the best thing is, you know, you set your aux up on stage for everybody, put all your faders to 0, make sure their gains are all set correctly, all that sort of jazz. And then you start setting their aux channel for them and their monitor. Okay, they have one channel here called monitor, one called aux, and they're both the same bloody thing. I don't know why they named them differently. They could have just called them both monitor outs or both auxes out. It's kind of dumb, but you can reassign either one of them, I think it is. The manual is more clear on that. So you could use one of them as a secondary effects, right? Because you only have one effects here, which you have 16 choices, so you only get to use one at a time, right? But what if you needed 2? Well, then you need an effects rack to take care of your second effects, and you'd have to give up one of your stage monitors and just go down to one so that you could use the other one to run your secondary effects. So anyways, that's the way it goes. You have a 4-band EQ on your stereo channels. You have 2 stereo channels, so 11, 12, 13, and 14 are 2 stereo channels. So you've got high, mid-high, low-mid, and low. On your main mono channels, you have a 3-band EQ with a mid-sweep. So you've basically got bass, mid, treble, and mid-sweep. Alright. High-pass filters on every channel, gains on every single channel. Something you don't see every day is gains on every single channel, including your stereos. Usually stereo channels don't have gain. This does. Your top row of input TRS jacks will take care of all your single channel type stuff. So you can use these as just single channels as well and still have left and right control. You have XLR all the way across all the channels. So really you have 10 true mono channels and 2 stereo channels, but they can also be true channels for mono, which would give you actually 12 channels instead of 14. The idea of the stereo channels is you can plug 2 different items in, and you can have one panned this way, one panned that way type of thing, or vice versa, or you can kind of blend them however you want and have up to 4 items blended, which is kind of fun. Anyway, there's also a USB out/in port on the back to go direct to your computer if you want to. I don't like using them because they're usually a pain in the butt. At least I found that even with my Soundcraft mixer, I don't like the USB out because it still doesn't have enough output either way, but it's an in and out. Same as your RCA jacks, they're in or out. Okay, so you've got left and right on both in and out. You do have stereo return for left mono only or left and right. Effects send, effects quit switch. That's for just turning on and off your main effects that are on board. So you can just shut them off instead of turning dials. Aux send and monitor out. These can be used for both stage monitors if you like. You have a lamp with a BNC connector here. It specifies right on it, LED only for the lamp. Okay. Stereo headphone jack out, 1/4 inch. Zone level there. Sub and zone. Okay. So if you want to put a subwoofer on this thing and you don't blow the drywall off the walls, you can do that too. and the jack is in the back for that, for hooking that in. Effects modify. The effects, they say, are 24-bit digital. Some of the effects are okay, some of them actually suck. Okay. Source, USB or RCA for your input, which takes care of your input source. Auxiliary send, effects to monitor. You can send your effects straight to the monitor only out. It does not affect your aux out monitor, only for your main monitor out on stage, which has its own level control here as well for master output. And then of course you got the controls there. Effects return to main. That goes to your main house. Stereo return, and of course your main house out. Your faders. Solo switch is for when you're setting the gain on each channel. You got to push the solo button and then turn the gain until the meters are actually at 0, with maybe the odd flash to +3, but I wouldn't push any higher than that, or you can start to distort. You need to get the maximum amount of gain going and still being safe, so that you don't have to drive your faders like all the way up just to get something out of them, because that's bad. You need to have as much fader room as possible, so when you're setting gains you have to set them accordingly. Whole other video to do that. Okay. Mute control. When the mute is off, of course the light's off, you have a clip indicator light here and one up here, so you can actually, if you don't see this one right away, you will see it clipping down here one way or another. And of course, again, your solos, right? And that's pre-fade listen or solo for setting gains, either way. All right. You do have an EQ up top here, multi-band. So you've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 band EQ. Now you can have that running through your main outs, or you can go to your monitor only, and you EQ only one monitor on stage for that. And you can EQ it. Why you would want to, I have no idea. Why you would want to mess with the EQ for the house, I have no idea either, because the whole idea in my brain is you set your EQ here for your vocalists and your instruments and stuff, get the EQ settings here so everything sounds great on stage and on house, and then of course you put your levels accordingly to where you need to do your master mix for your house. And like I said, in my case, these faders are going to run my whole mix for anything I do, so I don't need to worry about stage monitors at all. And everything mixes here, goes out through the master house outputs, which is your XLRs and your TRS speaker outs. Now, this is not a amplified mixer, it's preamp, so you have to go either into an amplifier that then has speakers to it, or you go straight into biamp powered speakers, or in my case I'm using YSM8 Yorkville monitors for my monitor playback, so I can hear what my mix sounds like, so I know what I need to tweak for levels or EQing or whatever. Okay, so for me this EQ thing is actually stupid, because if you actually run this through the house, what you do here can also end up on your recording, and you may not want that. Okay, so you got to be careful about that. So I would just leave everything at flat. Just use this. That's my opinion, though. That's just the way I do things. You have a master break as well. This will mute all your channels in one shot. So this way, if you have to, have some of them that are, not muted, and you want to mute them quickly and not disturb any noise, you can do that too. That's another way to do things. Or if you just want to, shut everybody down for a minute, you can do that as well. So it's a master override, which is great. And that's awesome. So, all metal construction. This thing is metal everywhere. The only plastic is on the knobs. Everything else is metal on here. Well, plastic a little bit here in your XLRs, obviously, but otherwise, everything's all metal on this thing. Good cooling vents on either side, because your power supply is also in this area as well. So you need good cooling, and it has more than ample cooling, which is great. So, I'm going to put this thing at 4 out of 5. I think that the 9-band EQ is actually ridiculous and pointless, but that's my thing. But I'm not knocking it for that. That's just one of my biggest gripes about the board. It's a useless feature that's just going to go bad for somebody like me. The effects, some are good, some really suck. Probably the worst one is the acoustic guitar effect. It's kind of acts like an acoustic simulator with your electric guitar. That's kind of a stupid thing because it really doesn't sound any much different than if I went to a chorus or a reverb effect. The sound tone is just not enough of a variance to really make any difference, so it's a pretty crappy effect. But that's just one of them. There's a few others that are kind of meh to me. You have 2 channels only with high Z inputs, okay? And if you're not going to use DI boxes, you can have 2 instruments plugged in that would normally have to have a DI, and you can hit the high Z and allows you to use it without a DI box. Anything else would have to have a DI box if it's required to need one for hooking into a mixing board. So in my case, I'm plugging in my electric guitar or my acoustic with, in this case, a wireless connector. I would turn the high Z on because I'm not using a DI box. Now, what does use a high Z switch access? Well, electric acoustic guitars, they have preamps that are powered, okay? Passive pickups in guitars, active pickups in regular electric guitars, as well as basses that are passive or electric active pickups. You would want the high Z input for that for direct connect in. Otherwise, if you need more instruments than the 2 for high Z for guitar stuff, then you're going to have to use DI boxes for the rest. That's the way it goes. To know everything possible about this mixer, I would suggest you download the manual for free from the website, from Yorkville's website. Just do a search for Yorkville VGM 14 manual, and you'll get several links show up, one of which is actually for Yorkville, and you can just download the regular normal PDF right from them. So, I think in my brain anyways, as far as what it actually sells for on the retail end, brand new, I think it's a little overpriced for what you do get. I've seen other boards that are cheaper that actually offer more, but then of course there's always a lack somewhere and a give and take, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to really say 100% yeah, but I would say probably worth around the $600 range, okay? It is under $700 retail in Canada for a new one, and you can pick up a used one for, probably $400 or $500. They are built like bricks though. I mean, that is one thing. Like if you were to compare this over a 16-channel Yamaha mixer, which is very similar, does have a few more effects, and some of the effects are much better quality. There are some differences between the 2 boards. This one is still physically more rugged than the Yamaha. I mean, it is built like a Sherman tank, literally. So that it does have that benefit to it. So it's kind of a hard one to judge. But even that Yamaha 16 isn't worth the $639 they're asking for it, in my books, But we all have our opinions and our thoughts on stuff. That's just the way it is. Anyways, when you're buying any mixing console desk, you want to buy according to your needs of features. I do not concern myself with channels. I bought a 22-channel Soundcraft, has way more channels than I'll need, but it has all the features I need. And it has 2 FX channels in it already. And it has Lexicon effects, which are outstanding quality, which are far surpass anything Yamaha's even got in their higher end boards. So yeah, I mean, think of it this way. Sometimes you can spend a little bit less and get a lot more. And yeah, 22 channels is definitely overkill for me, but I may end up using some of those channels, especially if I wanted to use my board to go gigging. It is a musician touring grade board that I have, and this one I don't see any reason why you couldn't do the same thing. I mean, you could do, if you're doing gigs and stuff, this mixing board should suit the size of your band, and you'll just have to deal with, without putting an effects rack on, you definitely have to deal with only having one effect at a time, which I would suggest your vocalist should get that effect, and it should be some kind of a reverb effect for their vocals, because you don't ever want to run a vocal dry. You want to EQ it first, and then you want to wetten it up with some reverb to make it sound that much more appealing with the music. Really makes a huge impact of the quality of the singer as well as the musicians along, and having your mix balanced right makes a huge difference too. Anyways, that's all I got for you, and a little bit of extra tidbit information. I do have videos on my channel on how to set up a mix. I have videos on my channel for other mixers that I've actually owned before. Of course, not all of them are up there. I've been playing with mixers since I was about 15 years old. But of course, back then YouTube didn't even exist, and there was a lot of gear I've gone through before I even started doing anything music-wise on YouTube. So there's a lot of stuff that's never actually hit my channel and never will. So, but anyways, I hope you enjoyed the review and it was very informative. But like I said, if you want to know even more about this mixer, please download the manual. It is a free download, so you can investigate it further and further before you decide whether or not this is a mixer for you or not. And you can decide for yourself if it's worth the retail price. If you're willing to pay it, fine. I mean, if this was something that I really needed and it met all my needs specifically, yeah, I would pay the retail price. You know, because just because I say I think it's worth $600, that doesn't influence the company to say, okay, we'll give it to you for what you think it's worth. It doesn't work that way. You pay what the company asks, and that's all there is to it, you know. Anyways, still, I mean, given that, I would pay, you know, the retail on it if it was something for me. But this is, for me, it's something to just get me by until mine's back from repair, and I'll be happy to have mine back. But in the meantime, this is going to work. It does work really well. I'm very pleased at how well everything does work on this thing, with the exception of a few effects that I find are really sucky, but I'm not going to sweat myself too much over that anyway. But anyhow, guys, that's it. That's all. So thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed already, please do so, and then hit that notification bell for more upcoming videos. You never know one day to the next what I'm doing for videos, so if you want to stay informed, then please do so, and we'll see you on the next one. See you later.